Well, I find myself feeling a bit in a storytelling mood. It's been a pretty good day today. I confronted Doug Levac and brought that to some closure for now, anyway. And I just was sitting here thinking, maybe I feel like telling the experience of how I met Dr. Harris. It's kind of a long story, so buckle up. It started one morning around 8 o'clock in the morning. See, I'm a custom carpenter by trade. I'm disabled now, but um, what I'm fixing to explain to you is one of the reasons I'm disabled. But anyway, this house that we live in here is 2 stories high, and it's a very old house, and the siding is a bit dilapidated, and the porch that's out front in this wall here needed to be repaired. In fact, demolished and completely rebuilt. Well, I had started to do that, and I was beginning up at the top of the roof here underneath the eave where I was taking off siding to replace it because it had been old and dilapidated and, weathered. Well, after I'd set my scaffold up, I climbed up to step onto it, and the first step I took onto it, the scaffold broke. There was a knot in one of the legs that was holding the scaffold up, and the knot broke there, and I went down like a pencil, straight down like onto a pile of bricks. I was all I could do, just keep myself in a tucked position so that I didn't end up dead, But anyway, I find myself sitting at the base of the steps that go up to this rickety old porch that used to be here. My feet completely demolished, the bricks that I landed on completely demolished, and lumber from my scaffold falling all around me. A 2x12 hits me in the head, and I have to brush that off. I come to a rest. Everything comes to a rest, and I notice that there's my next door neighbor is standing to my right, and my stepfather, Wayne Mosier, is standing in front of me, like 20 feet in front of me. And he asked me, "Are you okay?" Because I just fell 15 feet onto a pile of bricks, and I'm actually come to a seated position on the stairs, where the first step was bricks, and then it was wood steps up from there. I hit the bricks and came to a seat 2 steps above that. Anyway, he asks me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, my feet are done there." He says, what do you want me to do?" And I said, "Go call an ambulance." He goes in to call an ambulance, and while he's doing that, I'm realizing that all my blood is going down to my feet. And that's what, I'm a Boy Scout, and plus being in the military and everything, you're trained to put the injured area as high as possible, as quick as possible. So the only way for me to do that without injuring myself any further was to do a barrel, roll, a somersault roll, out into the yard where the sun was beating down on me at like 85 degrees that day, and it was almost 90% humidity. And so I come to a laying position in the grass, and everybody's freaking out there. I'm having to give people things to do because they're all panicking. I gave Wayne there my camera and asked him to film, and he did catch a small clip, which I'm going to try and put on YouTube after this one, just to show you what happened that day. As much of it as I could anyway, because he was nervous like everybody else, in shock, and he only got a small portion of it, but it's enough that you'll be able to see what was going on. Anyway, about 45 minutes later, the St. Agatha ambulance shows up, and it's 2 old ladies. Bless their hearts, they tried to help me the best they could, but what could they do? I'm a big guy. I'm down. There's no way I can ambulate myself. They can't pick me up or manipulate me in any way, and they have no paramedic with them. So what can they do but call another ambulance? So they go ahead and do that. It takes about another, I would say, 30 minutes for the ambulance from Madawaska to show up here. And this time they have a paramedic and everything, and right away he comes over. By this time, I've been laying in that hot sun for a very long time, and having to actually instruct even the ladies that were there to help me that they needed to keep me awake because I was going into shock and I might fall asleep. That's dangerous if you do that. So anyway, the paramedic shows up, and his name is Mike, and he says, "Mark, I hate to have to do this to you, but I'm going to have to hurt you some more." I said, "Listen, Mike, I need help. Hit me." And I don't know if you can see it, but right in there, there's a scar that's still left there from the biggest hose that he had. And he starts pumping me full of fluids and medicines, and then on to the hospital we go. We get to the emergency room there, and they process me through, and they take x-rays and they take CAT scan, and right away they determine that my injuries are much too serious for them to deal with at this hospital in northern Maine, at the North Maine Medical Center. So they ambulanced me down to Bangor, which is a 4-hour ride to the hospital down there. Now by this time I've been in, through everything with the waiting for the ambulance and all that, and then all the medicines and stuff, and being in shock, and all the examinations and everything like that, and then the ambulance ride down to Bangor. I get down there and they do the whole process over again, and the next time I see a clock, it's like 12:30 in the morning, and I'm sitting in front of the doctor who's going to be doing my surgery on my feet, or taking care of my feet, the potential doctor. His name was Dr. Dickey, and I'm sure that he's a good doctor. He must have had just a really bad day, because the conversation we had went like this. He asked me a question. I answer his question. Now remember, I've been on morphine all day, okay? He asks me another question. I answer that question best of my ability. He's not happy with that answer, so he comes back sarcastically to asking the question again. And by this time, I had had enough. I just wanted to go to bed, I couldn't understand why I was sitting in front of this guy at 12:30 in the morning after the kind of day that I had. So I asked him, I said, "Am I going to have a problem with you now?" And he says, "Well, I don't know. Am I going to have a problem with you?" And I said, "Listen, Doc, I've had a long day. I'd just like to go to bed. Couldn't we do this in the morning?" He says, "You think you've had a long day? I've had a long day." And I said, "Whoa, if you don't want to do this, just say so, and I'll be more than happy to select another doctor." He then says, "Oh, you will you?" And I slammed my hand down on his desk and said, "Yes, I will." And about that time, the orderly that was standing behind me must have put something into my IV, because the next thing I know, it's the next morning, I'm in a bed, my feet are wrapped and up on a pillow, no ice, okay? And for the next 7 days, there was no ice on my feet. In fact, by the end of the fourth or fifth day, no, the fourth day, by the end of the fourth day, it was 2:30 in the morning, I am screaming, okay? The only thing they've been giving me for pain management, or anything else for that matter, was morphine. Morphine, 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 morphine. Every time I turn around, they're putting morphine. I needed it. I was in extreme pain, okay? 2:30 in the morning, the fourth night that I'm there, I'm screaming. I'm in so much pain. The nurse, I won't say who he or she was, but the nurse that was on duty at the time comes to me, leans right down next to my ear and says, "Mark, I have something to give you. It's going to put you out. It works really fast, So before I give it to you, I need to know that you can understand me because I have something to say to you. And I said, yes, I understand you. Okay. And he says, Mark, the doctor is not giving us the orders that we need to take care of you properly. He says, you need to find a way to go home from this hospital so that you can find yourself another doctor. Otherwise, your feet are in jeopardy if you stay here. Do you understand me? I said, yes. And he says, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to convince the staff here that you are okay to go home, which means you have to start refusing this medication from now on. You have to start reporting that you're in low pain levels and okay to go home. I said, okay, hit me. And he hit me with that, whatever it was, and out I went. I woke up the next morning with that fresh on my mind. It took me 3 days after that, bearing excruciating pain, reporting only levels of 4 and 5, and voicing every opportunity I had that I could go home and would like to go home. On the 3rd day, they came and said, okay, we're going to send you home. They write me up some paper prescriptions and send me home by ambulance with 2 destroyed feet. We get back up here 4 hours later. Now it's 9 o'clock at night, and it's 9 o'clock at night now when I get back home here by ambulance. The ambulance crew brings me inside, sits me down in the bed, which my mother had prepared in the living room downstairs, and gives me my paper prescriptions. I had nothing else. Nothing. Oh, that's right. They gave me a porta toilet to put next to my bed, and they left me there. As soon as they left, okay, there are no pharmacies open at 9 o'clock at night, especially not up here in northern Maine. Everything, they roll up the sidewalks at 6. So right away I called the ambulance from Fort Kent, or actually from St. Agatha. Again, they came, picked me up, brought me back to the hospital up here at North Maine Medical Center. I go into the emergency room. The doctor that's on duty there checks me out and sends me home by ambulance to be left there till the next day with 3 Percocets. The next day rolls around. My parents have to run to Caribou, which is an hour, well, it's about half hour one way, half hour back, hour ride anyway, to get my medications because the stores up here didn't have it. The Rite Aids up here didn't have what they needed. So they go down there to get that. Meanwhile, my uncle is here taking care of me while they're gone. I run out of the Percocets, and I'm there for an hour waiting for them to come home. Meanwhile, my feet are swelling up like balloons. Even though they're raised and wrapped, they're swollen like this. So I tell my uncle I'm not waiting for my parents to come home with the medicine. Call the ambulance, we're going back to the hospital. This time, the ambulance comes and picks me up. And on the way there, I tell them, when we get there, you bring me in, you drop me off, and you go home. I am refusing to leave this time. They say, okay. We get to the hospital, they bring me in, they tell the doctor that. The doctor comes to me, the same doctor that I had seen many times before, comes and asks me, the ambulance driver says that you're refusing to leave. Okay, at that point, to be honest with you, I felt like I just wanted to rip his face off, okay? But I told him, that's right. If you release me again, you release me to the sidewalk out there because I'm sending the ambulance home. And when I get out there, I'm going to take this cell phone right here and I'm going to call the news. And we're going to get some things done around here. Oh boy, people started jumping. People were jumping everywhere. He wheels me back to the back of the emergency room in one of the waiting rooms in the back there, and puts me against the counter where the sink and stuff is in a gurney. And I'm sitting there and I don't know what's going on. I'm in so much pain. I am in so much pain that I can't even cry at this point. Okay? And that's when I look over and I see this young, clean cut guy coming in with his face all down, and he looked like he could feel what I was feeling. I never met this guy before, but I said, man, I like him already. Okay? He comes over and he starts talking to me and brings me into the back there and starts unwrapping my feet with another doctor that was there. He's a cast specialist. And they unwrapped my feet and found that my feet were wrapped incorrectly and bound. And right away, Dr. Harris took me into his practice as a patient. And from that point on, we had one hell of an excellent relationship. And as far as I'm concerned, I still have a great relationship with Dr. Harris. I love him. He's a very good doctor. I just wish that he would open his mind up to holistic medicines a little bit.